Welcome to the Courting Happiness podcast. This is a space where self-care becomes part of your day. A space where you learn evidence-based strategies to help your life, share it with those you love, and cultivate well-being at work. I'm your host, Dr. Kortni Alston. I'm a former news director, television reporter turned happiness scholar, TEDx speaker, and transformational trainer. I also understand hardships. While working my dream job in television, I lived a nightmare suddenly becoming a young widow after 86 days of marriage. I became committed to learning more about resilience, healing, and happiness. This is how I discovered my area of research, which is positive psychology. Now I'm living my calling of training individuals and organizations on happiness. And my new chapter begins with being happily engaged. The Courting and Courting Happiness is about a true courtship. I like to say commitment with happiness. The K in courting stands for the vulnerability of sharing my story, inspirational interviews with phenomenal people, the infusion of positive psychology, and so much more. You'll learn how to commit to your well-being one episode at a time. I hope you subscribe and share. So, are you ready? Let's get started. Welcome to episode 111. I'm Dr. Kortni Alston. It's time to talk about time. Well, you might have noticed that this podcast episode wasn't published during the same time, and it's because I needed time. I've been doing a balancing act, and this week, I needed time. Now, have you ever thought about giving yourself permission for more time? I will say this, I'm enjoying every new adventure that's in my life right now, but sometimes, even when we have good stress, we need time. Notice I said good stress. According to the American Institute of Stress, good stress is a type of stress we feel when we're excited, when there isn't a threat or a fear. And they actually compare it to going on a roller coaster ride or being up for a promotion or maybe even going on your first date. Do you remember those feelings? They also share that you can add good stress to your life through activities and setting goals. So my time these days have been challenged by a lot of good stress. But even when experiencing good, you can also, it could be overwhelming. So this week, I had to give myself permission to release something. And the podcast release date had to shift for me from Thursday to Saturday. So one of my favorite sayings happens to be this. Is I always say, live your own timeline. And this week, I did. I had this internal executive meeting with myself and shared, it's okay. It's okay. That's all. It wasn't a verbose meeting. It was short, it was simple, and it was filled with releasing an expectation that I wasn't able to meet this week. But this is the irony in terms of living my own timeline. And something I also should have shared is that I've even created t-shirts with the saying, and it's all to help raise awareness of the podcast and also helping the funding of this podcast. And feel free, you can check it out by visiting the episode page with this podcast, which is drkortnialston.com/podcast/episode 111. That's drkortnialston.com/podcast/episode 111. So living my own timeline, and I'm producing this podcast episode today on a Saturday, as I have my favorite show as my companion in the background when I was developing my ideas in terms of what to share. You might be asking, well, what is the show? What is the show, Dr. Kortni? Well, it's The Crown. I absolutely love The Crown on Netflix. So I form my thoughts. I'm sipping on my favorite coffee from Starbucks as I'm constructing what to say. And by the way, I'm loving Starbucks in regards to the fact that it's the holiday season and I can start to really devour my favorite pumpkin spice latte made with oat milk. But I say all that to say because even when experiencing good stress, going to Starbucks and having, my favorite coffee there and having my favorite program in the background all helps with my good stress. It also helps me brew up my permission slip of release. So if you're like me, having the time of your life with good stress, because so many things in your life are just coming together and your dreams are becoming reality, I want to tell you this. It's okay. Yes, it's okay to release something, to take a break, or just simply breathe. So I hope this episode gives you that permission, because really this week, giving myself that permission, it helped truly ignite even more passion as relates to my purpose. And I hope it does that for you too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's continue this conversation online. Email us at podcast@drkortnialston.com. That's podcast@drkortnialston.com. Join us on Instagram at Courting Happiness. Don't forget, that's courting with a K. Also, I hope you join our private Facebook community. You can find us at Courting Happiness Podcast Community. Our private Facebook group is a safe haven to share, meet more people looking to build positive relationships, focus on well-being, and create a happier life. Now, are you ready to spread happiness? We hope you subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, coworkers, and all the important people in your world. We release a new episode every Thursday. Congratulations on your continued commitment to your courting happiness journey. Thank you so much for listening. We want you to be well, be happier, and be kinder to yourself. We can't wait to see you next week.